Hey everyone, Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and this is video 2 for the USS Olympia build. So this video is all about getting the decks on. I finish up a little bit on the top rail of the hull, but we get the wood deck glued down, and I get the side guns installed, and yeah, that's pretty much everything on this one. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let's get started. All right, so here we are back in action. So I decided I am going to get rid of these rails, and I am going to use photo etch. I don't know, I kicked it around for a little bit. So the top rail of this looks like it should be a mahogany, so I'm not too worried about the white that's there, and I'll be able to basically cut these off, and then I'll hit it with a file just to get the little nubs down on it, and then we'll be ready. Generally, I would probably have done this before I painted the hull, but I still hadn't made a decision, and I don't know. I kind of, once I realized that it was going to be mahogany under there anyhow, and I'd be having to like kind of get around the fence post with paint, it just more and more seemed like the right thing to do, to just go ahead and remove these and file it down and paint them mahogany. So that is what we're doing. Yeah, the first video definitely have received some nice likes on this, so I do appreciate it. This is a different build for me too, for the channel, because this one, you know, smaller scale, it's a little bit more the common builder type build, rather than, you know, some jumbo 5-foot long battleship or, you know, ocean liner. And, you know, the fact that I'm not putting motors in it, I mean, this is going to be just a pretty standard type build, very similar to what most people probably are building that watch this channel. So, you know, I obviously build models like that, but most of the time on the channel, it's been all about trying to do the wow factor, I guess you'd say, and this, I think, will be just a nice overall build. And like I said, this will be gorgeous in my office, and that's kind of what the plan is. And in my office, which I never have shown it on the channel really, I have the Constitution build on the wall between two big bookshelves. And then I have like a credenza behind my desk, and that has my lit up 1/400 scale Queen Mary on it, and a model of the USS United States that lights up. And then I don't know, I have some nautical type paintings. I have a old painting that my grandmother had of a sailing ship going through rough seas, and then I have a framed Declaration of Independence, and I have a picture of the Constitution signing in Philadelphia. So I think this will just kind of fit the theme that I have in my office. And, you know, I do have people that come to my office. I'm the president of my homeowners association, yippee. So I do from time to time have people come over for meetings and budget talks and all that kind of stuff, and my ships always generally bring up some interesting conversation, because whether they like what I'm doing or not, or a policy that I'm focused on, the ships always seem to be kind of a really good centering point, and you know, if any kind of, or any part of the conversations are going south, a lot of times they'll kind of ask a question about the ship, and it just will help to refocus it, I guess you'd say. So, I don't know, there's practicalities to why I do things that I do. But anyway, here we go. So I got that off. I'm gonna go ahead and get the mahogany paint going on this, and then we got some guns that we're gonna paint up. So they are calling for flat black. I do want to look at some pictures of some other builds and some other ships before I make that decision, because I've seen them in the black and I've seen them in the gold shade that will go up on the upper deck. So I have a feeling they're black, but like I said, I just want to check it out. So I'm going to pause it a minute. I'm going to go ahead and paint this rail, and then I'll come back and we will continue on, because I think our next step is going to be, after that, is going to be putting the decking on the first section here. So basically this is kind of what I want to get done in this video. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so it does appear these gun barrels are the yellow color, so I'm going to have to wait on them, which is okay. I have the paint ordered, but it's not here yet, but I have plenty of other stuff I can work on with it in the meantime, so we'll just kind of hold on that. But I did get the brown on, and pretty happy with that. Now I'm just going to hit these cleats with a little bit of black. I'm actually using German gray, left over from Bismarck. That one's still a little wet. I'll start on this side. I very much considered whether or not to 3D print these, or try to anyway, and that may still happen, depends on how much I hate these, but we'll see. I'm gonna give it a try with what I got. They just don't look overly detailed or convincing, so we shall see. I mean, I guess they're okay. Maybe once I get the deck on there, it will look a little better, but we will see. I mean, I guess they're okay. So these will have fencing that runs up right next to them too. From a distance they look okay, so maybe I'll just keep them. I also looked at some of the brass bollards I had left over from Titanic. They're just going to be too big, so that wouldn't be an option. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and finish painting these, and then I'm gonna come back here, and we're probably gonna start that section of deck, because like I said, till I have the paint for the barrels, I can't really go further. But I'm gonna look at a couple other pictures too. See, the hard part with this, there is so many different paint schemes that this class ship had. There was the peacetime livery, which is basically what we're doing. Then at one point it was painted gray during the one battle. I forget which one. I'd have to look it up again. But I was reading about that. So multiple different color schemes that they've had on this. So yeah. I'm going to pause it a minute and grab our deck and start playing with some of that. But aside from the guns, we're pretty much down to here. So let me grab these and I'll be back. Okay, so here we go. We got our decks here, and it does look like this one would be this piece here. So this is not built for this exact kit. That is one thing I will mention. So this may take some fabrication to make this all work. I did already go ahead and clear the deck with clear coat. I may have mentioned that in the last video, I'm not sure, I don't remember. But it's always a good idea to do that. That way if you get anything on it, they generally will wipe clean pretty well. Now, this has sticky on the bottom, which I generally do not use because it will tend to kind of come up. So I'm going to work on kind of peeling this out. And one other thing that I just thought about, anywhere where it is kind of protruding up like it does, I may be better off doing the paint now on it so that it doesn't get off color here, because if I paint this all white, I'm going to need to paint all of the deck white. So I got to skip ahead here a little bit and kind of figure out what all gets assembled onto this deck. Now it looks like we have some walls and boat pieces. Those look like boat davits that go on. And looking more and more at these guns, I have a feeling I may have to go with black guns, because we'll never get this build done if I'm waiting on the paint. Okay, that appears to be the direction this needs to go. I don't want to set it down too far. And you can see I have some little thin pieces of deck, which I do believe are the sides here. So I gotta figure that out too. Just a lot of looking and planning right now. Sorry folks, it's just kind of how this goes. But yeah, I'm gonna paint this white first before I do anything, and while that's drying, I'm gonna get these center sections out for the buildings and hatch covers here. So let me go ahead and paint this, and I will be back. Okay, so I want to do this deck all in one shot, and the reason why, as I'm going through this more here, the bow here overhangs basically and connects right onto the superstructure here, I guess you'd call it. Same with the rear, so that will eliminate these seam lines, which is great because the seam lines don't look very good, but that means that I'm going to need to join this together sooner than later. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. And then the one thing I'm looking at here on the deck is the fact that it doesn't look like the holes exist where those two connection points just were. And I got deck stuck to the bottom of another piece, so I'm trying to salvage this quick. Oh boy, that kind of made a bit of a mess. I'll be okay though. I almost got it. There is something to be said for working neatly, which sometimes I do not. But it actually kind of helped me because that helped get some of these pieces off that needed to get cut anyway. So it goes that way. Okay, good. Okay, no harm. We're gonna set that on the other end here so I don't risk doing that again. But what I was talking about is those holes. Okay, good. They'll be hidden under the turret, so we're okay. That's what I was worried about. This here protruding through the deck. So I'm going to use some accelerator. There we go. And I'm going to go along the back with it with some regular model glue too, just to ensure that sticks better. It appears my brush, I don't know, it looks like my brush is like falling off. Okay. Now I'm going to just do the same thing over here. And then after that I will paint while I work on getting those pieces cut off of the deck. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this and start painting some white, and we'll be back. Okay, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and paint these walls white too, because they'll need to be painted. And I'm going to remove all these, what do you call it here, the railing post that I won't be using. So basically just going to do the exact same thing that we did on the hole there a few minutes ago. And these have portholes too, so I'm going to need to drill them out. And I do believe this rail that I'm cutting along here probably also will end up being the mahogany. The more I'm thinking about it and looking at other pictures, I think I'm back to going black barrels, so I may end up putting them on in this video after all, because or the other thing I could do is just change my color. This is very close to a buff color. That might be my ticket. I gotta match that up. This is actually the same color I used on the funnels for Titanic, but that might work. Yeah, let me do some research. Anyway, sorry. I just have moments like that where I think of something, and a lot of times I do that off camera, but I don't know. This series, I think you're getting a little bit more of how I actually build than even some of my other ones, because a lot of times I kind of prep more before I start videoing, and this one just seems to be a little bit more genuine to what's actually happening as I go. So I guess that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Depends on your perspective. Now, one thing I probably would have done if I were doing this like for somebody else or whatever, along the bottom I would have probably filled in the seams. Up here, depending on how this stuff all goes together, and if there is any seams, I probably will fill it in along these edges. But obviously this part will be much more in view. Now the ship in Philadelphia currently, as it sits, this superstructure section here is now painted the yellow or the buff, whatever we want to call it, in real life now, but that would not have been how it looked in the past. So this would have all been white. So I'm going more historically set on the painting. One thing I will say, I mean, you can say what you want about Revell kits. They generally do a nice job with like detail along walls and stuff like that. There's a lot of flashing that usually comes with them and kind of imperfections that you got to deal with, but they do have a fairly nice level of detail compared to a lot of kits that I've seen and built. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this painted up. I'm going to take a look at that buff color and see if I'll be happy with it, and we'll go from there. So let me pause it, and we'll be back after this is painted. Oh, I'm going to drill out the holes too. I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I did find that I want to do the barrels in the buff, and I found a different color in my stash that I actually like better. So this is medium flesh tone, which when it's dry is that shade right there. So that is going to work beautifully. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the gun barrels white, because this part, like the round part there, will be white, which will peek out from the hull, and then the barrel will be that flesh tone color. So We're gonna get these painted up quick, get them ready to go. Excuse me. And yeah, I got the first couple coats of white on the superstructure right now, and that's why I figured while I have the paint mixed up, I might as well just go ahead and get at it here with these other ones. So that's kind of where we're at. So anyway, I'm gonna cut these all out and get them painted, and then we'll come back and we'll install. So I will be right back. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the stern deck, and I'm not gonna go crazy with the glue because this this adhesive they have on the back of this is actually quite strong. I do think it probably would have been okay without glue, but I've also seen these lift off before, so I didn't really want to risk that. But this is basically the same technique that I've always used in all my other builds. So just get a nice glazing on the deck here. And you want to be careful not to get too many clumps on it or anything like that, because that will make it bubble. Now the other thing that I found, there's holes in the deck, and I'm actually going to use those as markers on where stuff gets placed, so I'm not cutting them out completely. Just going to kind of leave them on here, because there's a deck house and skylight and stuff like that that goes on, and this will kind of help get the placement and keep it. Okay, so there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and drop that on there. Got a little bit on the deck. And it does fit remarkably well, considering this deck wasn't made exactly for this kit. So I'm pretty happy with the fitment. Okay, so we have a few minutes that we can kind of manipulate it around and all that, but like I said, it's going on quite nice. So what we're gonna do is clamp it on, and it's a smaller deck obviously, so I don't have to go quite as crazy as I had to on some of the bigger builds. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good with this one though. Just gonna put one across the back here. I think I can actually fit an extra one there too. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to do the bow. And again, I'm only doing them, I'm doing them basically out of order than that I originally planned on, but it just kind of seems to make sense. Now this one does have a couple raised spots in it, up forward there, both in the deck and on the build, or on the, you know, on the model. So we're going to do our best here to get them off so that they come up through the deck, which is the whole reason we painted a lot of it white. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. It's just not the easiest thing to work with. I hate the adhesive back ones. You don't really go through this with scale decks. So that is our anchors there, or not, yeah, I think these are anchor points anyway. The round holes I am leaving, and I'm going to glue direct to the deck on purpose. These skylight things are going to get cut out though. Just need my knife, which I don't see. There it is. So these two squares here, in all reality, I probably would have been smarter to do it while it was still on the plastic. But you live and learn. Okay, and then these two spots here look like where the anchor chain comes out. And they are molded in. The cutting on this is actually fairly decent. Like it's cutting easy and pretty precisely, so they did a nice job perforating it, I'll say that. Okay, now we have a vent there. And another vent here. And one more small square here, which this is the one that seems to be kind of a challenge. Okay, now we have where the turret goes here. that was going to break. It broke on the back too, but that's okay. It actually kind of helped that it broke back in the back. So now I'm going to do the same thing with getting some glue on here. And once I get this one down, I'll pause it while I do the other ones, because it's basically going to be the exact same thing over again, just different decking. The one that I'm mildly worried about is that top deck, but we'll see how that goes. I'm just going to kind of do a little bit, mainly along the edges. The good thing is this stuff will tack up and it'll start to set pretty quickly, but you can still shift it around for a few minutes after you get this on. So it does have a little bit of workability. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down on. And this one fits pretty darn nice too, honestly. I'll say the cutting that they did was really spot on. So far though, like I said, even though this deck did not specifically say the Revell kit, it seems pretty workable without too much effort. So don't be afraid to get it. I got this one on eBay, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. And it wasn't expensive. It was like, I want to say $20. Alright, let me just clamp it on. I'm probably only going to do 2 boards on this one, just because there's not really a whole lot of free space up on the front there to put any. Yeah, there we go. Now there's 2 side pieces that go on there, and they're, I believe, right here, and then I think these go up on the top. So I'm going to work on doing the top off camera, and then I'll be back. Okay, so the decks are pretty much dry and on, and then here is the side panels for the what do you call it, the superstructure, I guess we'll call it, on here. So they basically kind of drop right onto that, I believe, but I got to put the guns in first. I just kind of wanted to see what we were dealing with, but yeah, liking it so far. Weird mounting points, but yeah, I'll figure it out. So I'm going to clear coat these quick because I did not clear them, and then we will get it set. Okay, so here are the guns for up here. Now they are not the most detailed of guns that I've ever worked with, but they are what the kit had, so I'm gonna roll with it. Now, it says not to glue them. I am gluing. I'm just I kind of don't plan on moving them around a whole heck of a lot. So I'd sooner have them in one place. They don't seem to fit real nice into the hole. Have to touch the paint up on it. But yeah, they don't fit. So we're gonna have to drill that hole a little bit bigger. I'm not obviously getting exact. I don't think it needs to be, in all honesty. You gotta be careful doing that. I drilled my hand one time and that kind of hurt. Okay. So we'll see if they fit any better after that. Yes. Okay, that's better. So I'm gonna get them in, and then I will touch up paint what I just messed up there. Okay. I do think the color though that I went with actually came out pretty nice. I'm liking it. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, yeah, there's five per side. That one's not quite where I need it to be. I'll drill that a little bit more. And it could be the paint too, because I put a fair amount of coats of white to cover, so it may have just been a bit too much that kind of made those holes too tight. But no worries. Okay, so I'll put this one in, then I'm going to do the other side after I touch up these. And we'll put our walls on and then pretty much wrap up this video. Yeah, I want to touch them up for sure, so I'll be back. Okay, so I got them on. One thing important to call out, because I went and tried to get the sidewalls set. You have to have your guns all pointing straight out, so just an FYI, it will not fit if you do not. So I have the inside of that wall drying right now because I had to paint that white. Just kind of, I'm not going to set it in right now, but that pretty much gives you an idea of what that's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and put the guns into the hull right now. And I got my light strip set for in here. So, not using anything real impressive, just a single strand of lights, and that'll be pretty adequate for what I'm doing here. And it'll be a simple run this down, drill a hole, and basically that's it. So I'll install that in a later video. I gotta get a power supply for it, but not a big deal. Now these guns basically just sit right inside of the opening here, and they have two little grooves that kind of they ride in. I'm just trying to figure out, I think the best way to do it is to push it in from the back. Yep, that works. So that's what we want to do. Now those I have not decided yet if I'm gonna glue in place or not. I suppose I don't really need to, because it doesn't really seem to move around too much. Just want to be careful not to rip a barrel off while I'm doing this. These guns are not detailed in any capacity, but if I were doing it again, I would probably try to source a different gun, but they'll be okay for what it is. This would be a cool model in a, I don't know, super detailed set, but unfortunately this is not super detailed. I mean, parts of it are, which I think that's the frustrating part for me. Like, there's certain parts of it that are done really, really well, and then other parts of it that are just like, eh. But at the end of the day, I still think it'll be a cool little build to have on my desk. So I'm not disappointed with it. I just think it lacks some detail. And for late 1800s, the ship was actually pretty well armed. Okay, there we go. We got our guns on. So now, when you put this one on with it, you can kind of see the amount of guns that we got going here. I'm not going to set it down in because I have to kind of twist the hull to make it fit, but yeah, I'm liking it so far. So I think from here I'll wrap up this video. I know I was going to put the side plates on, but just because they're drying and this one's getting cut kind of long, we'll wrap this one up, and then next video we'll probably start, well, we're going to do our lifeboat davits and get them on, and then it looks like from there we'll do some steps, which I'm going to use photo etch for. Looks like we'll start the turrets and the anchors. So looks like we're going to be working up in this area next time. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, and please make sure you subscribe so you know, you continue to get notifications. The next video will also end up putting some what do you call it, fiber optic in for the lights, because if you don't, you'll get that weird lighting effect. I don't know if I'll do fiber optic or if I'll do some of these. I got a bunch of these still left over from Titanic, and they should fit perfectly fine. So I'll figure that out on the next video. But again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.